Hi everyone, I'm Ginger Balch from In Sheep's Clothing Yarn Shop in Torrington, welcoming you to another episode of Focus on Fiber. Time is getting short for gift making, and I'm here today to help give you some last minute project ideas. As you can see, we have some fun, fast, easy things to do. One of my favorite gift ideas is this big, fat, chunky, multicolored yarn. This little hat that's right here, super easy. I call it my 1 hour hat. All you have to do is you start with ribbing. I think it's like 44 stitches on a size 15 needle. I mean, doesn't get any faster or quicker than that. And then you just knit and you let the colors show up and then decrease at the top and you're done. I've also taken this yarn. This is not the same yarn, but I have done cowls using that yarn and this pattern. Again, another super fast project. It only takes one ball of this yarn, as did the hat. And all I did with this was to cast on, I forget how many stitches now, but you can check out the website and I will have this pattern on there. But it's a pattern of knit 4, purl 4. And you do that all the way around and you do it for 4 rounds. And then what you do is you change it from knit 4, purl 4 to purl 4, knit 4 for 4 rounds. And you just keep repeating those 2 repeats and you get this. And you do it for as long as you want it to be, or as deep as you would like it to be. But you could do this in any kind of yarn. I happen to think it looks very pretty in the multicolor yarns. But you could do it in anything, a solid, maybe a really nice luxurious yarn would be nice. And then there's this scarf, this cowl right here. As you can see, you can make it a scarf if you'd like, but what I did was made a big long tube, and this is doubled up. And what's wonderful about this is I'm going to take this head off. There we go. So you can see this is just a long tube, just like that. So it's about twice as long as the other one is. But what I did with this one was I did knit 3, purl 3, knit 3, purl 3. And so this is long enough so that you can either wear it long or you can double it up for a close cowl. But the yarn that I used for this one was this wonderful baby alpaca boucle. So it's super fuzzy, and when you knit it up, it's light as air. It's like practically nothing, but it's super, super warm because baby alpaca or any kind of alpaca actually is warmer than wool. And then when you have fuzz like this is, it gives you airspace, which makes it even warmer. So this is another wonderful project. So it'd take you maybe 2-3 nights to make. And again, if you're really running short on time, you could make it half the size, put on half the amount of stitches, and make it faster. So there's that one there. And then this hat here is just a simple rib, knit 2, purl 2. That's always my go-to stitch that I like to do. And you could do it with any yarn that you want. You could do it in a worsted weight. This happens to be a chunky weight, so it works up very quickly. One skein will make the hat. And then I have this mistake rib cowl. Actually, it's not a cowl. It's just a very short little scarf. There we go. So very short, which would take you no time to make. Again, another just really chunky, multicolored yarn. It does all the work for you. You just do the fast, easy knitting. And what I'm going to do is I will show you how to do the stitch. It's so easy. So I have right here. Here we go. So this is a multiple, the pattern is a multiple of 4 plus 3. So I cast on my stitches, and then for the pattern, it's just a 1 row repeat. Super, super easy. all you want to do is knit 2, purl 2. Oh, actually, okay, I was trying to be very ready here. I already did my round, my row. So I did knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, and then what happens is you end with an odd stitch, purl 1, and that's where the mistake rib comes in. So instead of when you turn around, instead of continuing with knit 2, purl 2, you have to start with, well, you do, you start with knit 2, purl 2, but you're off a stitch. So on this round, so on this row, I'm going to do my knit 2, purl 2, but I definitely have a mistake going on here. So knit 2, purl 2, and my pattern is off because I'm off a stitch. So purl 2, go, knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, and as you can see here, I'm ending with purl 1. Now when I turn it around, I'm going to do again my knit 2, purl 1, knit 2, purl 2, but I'm constantly off. So, but what you can see here in the bigger stitch is it gives you this, instead of knit 2, purl 2, you get this interesting ribbing going on because it's a mistake. But like anything with knitting, well, most things with knitting, as far as stitches are concerned, anything that you keep repeating becomes a pattern. So this mistake stitch becomes a pattern. So I did knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2. You always start out with the right stitch, but you end with the wrong one. So that's purl 2, knit 2, and there's that purl stitch. We end with that one purl stitch, and we turn our stitch or work around. And we're starting to get this interesting rib pattern with this kind of like seed stitch in between it. But it's great because it's just a one row repeat. You can't forget it. It's a great project to take, you know, when you're sitting at the doctor's office and you want to make the most of this holiday crunch time. So you could get some added extra knitting in without having to worry about getting your pattern out and making sure that you're correct, because it's just one row. And it's kind of addictive. As you can see, I don't really want to put it down. Purl 2, knit 2, I love it when it comes out correct. Purl 1, so there's that odd stitch again. So that's all you have to do, and you can see that I'm starting to get this little pattern going on. Oh, the other beautiful thing about this stitch is you don't have to worry about it rolling. As you can see right here, it's not rolling. And that's really nice when there's nothing worse than having a scarf that starts to roll in on you. And this is nice and flat. You can see the pattern. But just pick a really, any kind of yarn, nice luxurious yarn or something fun and multicolored that helps you keep going and just looks so pretty on. But again, very short little piece. You could even, if you wanted to, put a little loop on here, put a button, and you could button it like that. Or, as I like to do, is just get a shawl stick and put it in like this. And there's all different kinds of shawl closures that you could get, that you could put on here, or even just a nice pin would be very pretty. And you could include that in with the gift too and make it complete. But there you go for that gift. And then if you're a crocheter, let me just take this out of the way here. If you're a crocheter, little wrist warmers, they're always so handy to have. This was a super easy one to do. And this is something that you don't even need a pattern for. What I did was I started, again, there's our multicolored yarn. I started by just chaining the length of the wrist that I wanted it to cover. And then what I did was I just did single crochet, but I did it in the back loop, which gives you a ribbed effect. So that's a crochet. So there's your ribbing. And then once I got that done and I made it long enough or wide enough to go around my wrist, I stopped and then I sewed it. Or actually, no, I didn't sew it yet, but I just had my piece. And then what I did was I turned it sideways like this, and I picked up and I did single crochet around, so that would be back and forth. And I did some increases, to accommodate your wrist. So I did probably like six to 8 increases evenly across. And I just did single crochet, and then put it on to see where I wanted it to go. And then when I was done and happy with it, I said, okay. And then I just did a little picot, just a little crocheted picot along the edge, just to give you a little lacy look. Now you could wear them like this. Oh, and then what I did was I just sewed or slip stitch, closed it up. And if you want, you could wear it like this. Or if you want to have like a little thumb to kind of keep it in place, all you have to do is stitch. Just put a little stitch right there. And so you have your thumb and where your fingers are. But this is really toasty, easy to make. And you just choose your yarn. You don't have to be an expert crocheter to do that. And again, go on my website and I will have the pattern for how I made this particular one. It was with a worsted weight yarn. So there's our fingerless glove. And then a fun yarn. Unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to do anything with it yet, but I've had a customer that there's a great pattern that has a little baby sweater and then the cutest little cap with a I forget what you call it, with a long tail on it, like a Santa cap, and it has a little pom-pom on the end. But this yarn, what it does, first of all, it's Christmas colors, but what it does is it creates a pattern, like a Fair Isle pattern. So as you're knitting, you're getting this really cute Christmas colored Fair Isle in a stocking cap, and it's absolutely adorable. So that's something that I want to make, and that's a very quick project. And can you imagine a baby in this little cap? Just adorable. So that's another little project that you can make. And then talking about children, super cute. Who wouldn't? What child would not want to wear this? Now, is that adorable or what? Now, in case you're getting a little freaked out, like, oh my goodness, I can't knit little pieces like that. Guess what? You don't have to. The kit comes with the yarn to make the scarf. And it's a ribbed pattern. So all you do is you make your scarf. And then it comes with the little pieces. It comes with your little legs and your head. And all you do is you sew them onto each end, and then it's done. And it's a soft, squishy yarn. It comes in really cute colors like the pink and an aqua, the charcoal. But this is absolutely adorable. So this holiday season, I hope Ariana won't be watching this, but this is going to be for my granddaughter because she loves pink, and I know that she cannot resist this little teddy bear wrapped around her neck. So this is a cute little project. So just a few nights of knitting, and then you sew those pieces, and there you go. And then another project that's very fast and quick is this particular yarn. Now what's special about this, if you could see, these projects were made out of it, especially under the lights here, there's sequins in the yarn. So when they spun up the yarn, it already has the sequins in it. You do not have to add anything fancy. And the yarn is very thick, as you can see. And this was like a one-sitting project. You could whip one of these out. So it's just a really pretty cowl. Or what I basically did was I made a scarf, and then I just sewed it together to make a cowl. But you could just make it a scarf if you want. And what I like about this And what a lot of other people would like about this is it's a one skein project. You just need one skein and a big needle. This was done on size 15 needle. Now this particular stitch, it's a very interesting stitch. Super, super easy. It's kind of my go-to, especially when I'm using a novelty yarn, excuse me, or like a multicolored yarn, or just to make something look a little more special. What you do, and I'll show you the stitch, is, and I'm using this yarn again, it's a mohair with metallic in it. So it's 2 strands together, mohair and your metallic, and it does all the work for you, especially if you do a simple stitch. So what I did was I cast on. You cast on however many stitches you want, doesn't matter. And I like to use a little bit bigger needle than you might ordinarily use for your project. And so I cast on, I knit 4 rows, just a garter stitch, knit, 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 knit. Okay, so now I'm on a knit row here. And let me just get across this. And something like this, like you can knit kind of loose on it and it's fine. It also, the thing I like about this stitch is that it makes your yarn go further because of what you're doing to create the spacing. So just get across here. Now you can also do knit two rows, do your pattern stitch, knit 2 rows. I happen to like 4 because I think it's just the right amount of spacing between your pattern stitch. It's kind of like I think they call it a wrap stitch. So, okay, now I've got my 4 ridge, and it's very easy to follow, is that, okay, I have 3 ridges down here, I have 2 ridges up here. I usually do a little bit more on the bottom, and then I go 4 my wrap stitch, and then 4 rows of garter. So now I'm going to do this super easy stitch. When I do this, the pattern calls for you, I like to start with a knit 1 stitch, okay? We'll knit 1. I like it because it keeps my edges more even. Then what I'm going to do, I'll do a continental, and then I'll do it English style, so that you, depending on how you knit. So then what I do is I go into knit, wrap the yarn around, pull it up. No, I'm sorry. Put my needle in, wrap the yarn around. But instead of wrapping around once, I wrap around a second time. Now, depending on how much space you want, you could do it 3 times, but I happen to like 2. Then I finish knitting the stitch. So now you can see when I did that, I've got 2 loops on my needle instead of 1. So the next stitch, same thing. Wrap it once, wrap it twice, finish knitting the stitch. And you do that all the way across the row. Whoops, you have to make sure you get all the yarn though. There we go, off, in, wrap around twice, finish the stitch. Now for English, wrap around twice, finish it. Wrap around once, wrap around twice, and knit it off. Wrap around twice, knit it off. Wrap around again, take it off. And I'll finish continental. Whoops, wrap around once, twice, off. And as you can see, this is super fast to do. You can just kind of do this on autopilot. You won't miss any TV shows doing this. Okay. And then last stitch. And then what I like to do again is knit that last stitch. I find sometimes that if I'm doing the wrap, all the stitches, one side tends to get a little long. So I find just by knitting the beginning and end just takes care of that problem. Okay, so now when we turn our row around, we have double the amount of stitches going across. Again, I knit my first stitch. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to knit into the stitch that's on the needle, knit it off, but what happens is it's taking that extra loop off as well, which creates an elongated stitch. So I go back in, wrap around, knit like I normally do, and then take it off. There's my elongated stitch. And you do that all the way across. The extra loop just falls right off your needle. Just like that. Off the needle. And this yarn works particularly well, I think, with novelty yarns, because that elongated stitch really showcases the yarn. You can see the yarn that hasn't been knit up. And it looks beautiful with multicolor yarns. It's just really a nice stitch. It also creates a lighter piece too, because you've got all that space. And again, I end with the knit one stitch. Now, the other thing that I like to do is you pull it down and it opens up that stitch. You can see the space there of that elongated stitch. And then once you have that, you want to do your garter stitch that kind of locks that stitch into place. That's the other reason I like to do 4 rows, is I find because it's an open stitch, I find it a little not as stable. By putting the garter stitch in there, or enough garter rows in there, it stabilizes that stitch. I've had some people that tried it with just doing one garter row in between, and I don't think it's enough. So at least 2 garter ridges, 2 garter rows. But I prefer 4. But you could do 6 as well. Totally depends on the look that you want, that you're aiming for. I think if you haven't figured out by now, I'm all about doing what makes you happy, what the look that you're going for. There's nothing that's cut in stone. So I'm going to do another ridge here, a row. Getting my rows and ridges. When you do garter stitch, 2 garter rows equals 1 ridge. You'll see a ridge after you've completed 2 rows. So that's an easy way to, if you lose track of how many rows you did, just count your ridges. So what I'm going to do after this, I want to show you again how I did that. And this little pattern will be on my website so that you can do it for yourself. And as you can see, it starts working. It works up very quickly. That drop down really takes a lot of space up. Okay, so again, you knit 1 stitch. Then you go in, wrap around twice, knit it off. Go in, wrap around twice, take it off. Knit, wrap around twice, take it off. Go in, wrap around twice, take it off. In, wrap around twice, take it off. I've also seen this done with fine yarn, and it looks very pretty with fine yarn too. There we go. But big, bulky yarns do not have to, and end with the knit one, do not have to look just big and clunky and ugly. They can be very, very pretty and make beautiful gifts, as you can see right here. You know, gorgeous colors And actually this yarn has some texture to it too. So it looks very special and not like, wow, I needed to get this done really quickly. Somebody would really love to have that hat and to wear it. Okay, so now to finish this row off, again, knit 1. Go into our stitch, knit it, and there goes off that extra loop. Knit it, the extra loop comes off. See that extra loop just falls right off and leaves us with that great spacing. Now this is something that you can just sit and get this done fast. And this, to me, this is a very pretty yarn. I think this is going to look very, very special when it's done. And also another thing with the stitch, as a scarf, you don't necessarily, it's finished when it's done. You can add fringe to it if you'd like, but it looks so nice there. And with my knit 1, that you're kind of okay without fringe, but it would look nice anyway. But how pretty is that? I mean, it's so pretty. This is something I could wear. I wear so much black, as you could probably tell, but this is just so pretty. So anyway, so you could do this with any kind of yarn, and that's what we did with this yarn. You see the really different look that you get here. The bigger, chunkier, which is going to work up in no time flat. And then a little bit finer, dressy. I mean, they're both dressy, but just depending on what yarn you decide to use will give you the look that you desire. So anyway, thank you again for spending time with me, and I hope that I've been helpful with your last minute gift making. I wish you all happy holidays, and I hope that you can find during this busy, busy time to keep a focus on fiber. See you next time.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.